At the Taylor team here at Keller Williams Realty, and I'm coming to you today with some May market updates. We're all still in our houses, even though the economy is starting to reopen. It's a new world that we're living in out there, traversing it in masks with gloves and hand sanitizer galore. Um, and I think a lot of us are looking at the economy, we're looking at the housing market, and we're just kind of scratching our heads going, well, what's happening? Let's dive into exactly that question. Across the three markets that our team serves, we're seeing some pretty drastic differences across these markets. And I think that this can be attributed to the way that those markets handled the coronavirus outbreak. So you'll see we've got Southern Arizona, which is really Tucson here, Austin here, and San Diego in the middle. And in Tucson, what you see is, and really across all three markets, we had a huge drop off in the number of listings coming to the market, meaning fewer people were putting their home up for sale than they were a year ago. That presents a real problem in these markets for buyers. And it's compounded by the fact that before the pandemic started, or even was a pandemic, we had an inventory issue. All three of these markets were sub 3 months of active inventory, meaning that if we didn't list a new home for 3 months, we would literally run out of houses to sell, which that would be considered an extreme seller's market. Compound that with the pandemic of a year over year drop in new listings of 35%. And suddenly we are in a hyper extreme seller's market, which means if you're a buyer, be prepared to compete for the best properties, and you're likely paying above asking price unless the house is just wildly overpriced. But then looking at the number of new listings coming to market, you'll see that number starting to come back up a little bit in Austin and in Tucson. But in San Diego, that new listing number is still lagging a little bit slower behind. Well, Texas and Arizona are reopening. Maybe not a coincidence that Texas and Arizona are also leading in new case spikeage for COVID-19. So TBD on what happens in the future. But you can see there's a direct correlation to economies opening, reopening, or not reopening to the number of new listings. And I want to correct what I said a minute ago. This is active inventory. This isn't new listings. New listings are just below. So you'll see active inventory is way down year over year, 24% in Austin to 35% at 33 in Arizona. But then this new listing inventory is dropping as well. Now, here's what's really interesting. In San Diego, where the economy, is reopening a little slower, buyer demand hasn't quite made its way all the way back. So wild to think, with 40% almost fewer homes to sell, we're only down about 7% year over year in May. That tells me that demand is massive, because that demand is massively outpacing supply at this point. But then look what's happening in Tucson and Austin. We're actually selling more homes in the pandemic and putting more homes under contract in the pandemic than we did in the same month last year. That is wild. So when you compound that back against fewer listings coming to market, this inventory issue that we're running up against is just going to get deeper and deeper, which is going to push prices up for the foreseeable future. Now, looking at closings always lag pendings by about 30 days. So we expect that some of this pent-up buyer demand will push through into closings over the next month to 2 months. So the future looks bright as far as the summer goes for all three of these housing markets. If you're a seller, phenomenal time to get your home on the market and reposition that. If you're a buyer, let's not lose sight of the fact that interest rates are many times in the high twos or low threes still, and there are plenty of opportunities out there to buy a property. Do we think that home prices will fall in the coming months? Who knows? Do we think that the economy will fall in the coming months? Who knows? What we do know is that the prices that are able to be had in the market today are phenomenal for sellers. And with the drop in interest rates, affordability is actually better even with the higher prices than it was just a year ago. So whether you're a buyer or seller, you've got multiple factors in play that make it a good time to take action. So call us today at the Taylor team. We'll be happy to help in any of our three markets. Stay home, stay healthy, stay safe out there. Signing off, it's Jerimiah Taylor with Keller Williams Realty.